If you heard all the good things about Gemini 3 Flash, well, so did I, and today we're testing it with making a horror game on Rosebud. So let's get started. I immediately typed in make a high quality horror game onto Rosebud and selected Gemini Agent Fast, which is their wrapper of Gemini Flash. Now my expectations are that within 3 to 4 prompts we will be able to make a high quality horror game that actually has a nice feel to it, pretty assets, and a complete gameplay. So after the first prompt was entered, the model immediately started working on it, and there's a couple things that I really like about this already. First of all is the fact that it works so much faster. And also on top of that, it is much cheaper than any of the AI agentic models. You can also see the assets that it's generating in real time while it's still building the game, and I could tell that it was a horror hallway game even without actually starting it, given the assets that it generated. It generated some texture for the walls, some texture for the floors, and after not much waiting I had the full game called the Interior Halls, where I had to enter the darkness. And I was blown away that this whole flashlight dynamic with keys to collect and everything was already built and ready to go within one prompt and a couple seconds of waiting. I couldn't really figure out how to pick up the key. I walked through it and it didn't work, but then I realized that if I pressed E, I was able to pick it up. And so I continued my journey and collected a second key, but at this point this kind of ghost started chasing me and I didn't know where to go, and suddenly I was dead. I realized that that was kind of the demon I was meant to avoid, and I wasn't sure how to do it. It seemed to me like there was nowhere to run, so that would have been one option. But the option I ended up considering after muting my computer because of all the eerie sound effects was to ask for some mechanism to fight off this ghost that was gonna come at me in the hallway. I also said that I need a better gameplay, and in order to know when the ghost is coming at me, I need some sort of lights or flash effects or something to be able to tell that it's about to get a lot more eerie and I'm about to get attacked. So after a few seconds, this was my second prompt in the game maker, and I had this game where now I could go in and hopefully defeat the ghost. So there are these flashing lights now that were pretty cool. The same key pickup dynamic worked, and just as about I was expecting the ghost to show up, I tried clicking on it to get rid of it, but I couldn't. I dodged the ghost and hopefully I thought I was done with it. I just kept progressing. I knew there was one key left and I could escape, but once I picked it up, it attacked me from the back and I died. So I didn't know what was going on, and I scrolled back in the response from the AI to actually figure out how to defeat the ghost. It turns out I had to right click and hold to fixate my flashlight on it in order to kind of scare it away with the light. So once I actually understood the instructions, I thought let's give it another playtest and see if it actually works. Now this time I was so ready for the ghost to come at me. I knew what I had to do. I was feeling confident, and I was just progressing in the game, and it should appear. I checked out if the flashlight was working, and it just worked right there. And as you can see, it's about to pop up now, and I'm about to attack it with the flashlight. It was flickering, and then finally it kind of raised and went above my head, which I thought was pretty good. But I was fearful that it would return and attack me from the back again, so I rushed to get the third key, and then I turned around to see where the ghost is, and it was right there above my head. So I flickered again, and I was flickering for my life here, hoping that that ghost would go away. And ultimately, let's see if it did. It did. Surprise! I survived the game, and now the only thing left was to escape in it, and I did. I was so proud of myself, and I was so excited. This game was actually kind of got me going in 2 prompts, so I was very impressed. The last thing that I wanted to add in was a set of instructions in the beginning to make it feel more like a quest and actually a mission that you're going on in this horror game. So I typed that request in and I sent it off again to Gemini Flash. This edit actually took much less than any of the other ones. I'd assume that is because simply putting in a starting screen or a menu to the game was probably a much lighter edit to make in terms of code than actually, designing the whole thing. But once I had it to go, I was actually very pleasantly surprised by the fact that the UI of the whole menu and the call to action in the beginning was much nicer than what I had initially expected. Usually these pop-ups in the beginning of games turn out to be quite generic, but here it actually seemed to mimic an old typewriter. The words were all stick together so that it actually seems like somebody's like panicking and like the space button doesn't work and they're briefing you for the mission. So I was so surprised, and then I could jump straight into the game. Everything was so smooth. There were literally no bug errors the whole time, and this is me playing one last final run through of the game and ready to fight off that goddamn ghost that was chasing me this whole time. Unfortunately, this time it came at me so much faster and I died, but I really enjoyed making this game. So let me know what I should make next or how I could improve this one.